All right, we are live. Hello, and welcome to the Halifax Roundtable show. And sitting with me at the round table is Broker and Nate. How you guys doing?
Doing
How are
well.
We are going to spend the next hour talking about Alien RPG, the Halifax campaign, and relatable themes. We are live, so feel free to leave comments or ask questions. We will respond appropriately. So let's go ahead and get started. Nate said you had some stuff you wanted to bring up.
Oh, yeah, it was. It has been an interesting experience. I keep thinking that it can't get better than than the last time, and we end up topping it. I have to give a lot of that credit to Cable. That's the way he plays his character is really envious. I guess my question back to you that I'd been thinking about today, Joe, is as mother, how do you handle that when you prepare an evening worth of material and we just zip down an off ramp and off we go, and like 4 hours worth of your work is just out the window? I was contemplating that today. I was like, man, I don't know how you roll with that.
Yeah, that last episode 25 was like a real test for me. I felt it. Test as being a game mother, and I think the easiest way that I can that I just handle it is that's why I kind of plant a character. I kind of plant myself into it, so I can use like Andromeda or something like that to help steer things a little bit.
Oh, sure. Your
Things like
Andromeda or
that.
Imogen to kind of drive the. I hadn't thought of it from that way, but
Yeah.
So what are you do if you had Cable arrested? That's what I was really curious about.
I seriously thought that might be one of the possible outcomes.
Well, but that was like, well, then I could talk if I was arrested. So, but he was trying to avoid me from going out there and talking, obviously. What was your plan then?
Well,
or is that just a whim thing?
Well, see, I don't want to say too much about that yet. Just in case. I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen.
That tells me Cable might still get arrested. That's
Cable tried getting arrested, actually. So I will note, and I will say this, and Joe knows, probably my frustration is, I didn't know where there were people there.
Yeah, I know. I know you picked up on that, but I verified that when we arrived, I tried to emphasize that this was a busy place, and you actually landed on a landing pad.
Hey, we had like a 3-week break. That's not fair. We should have a reminder of, hey, you're out of a busy place.
Yeah.
But I think that played into it. I mean, regardless how busy it was, I think that would have been the outcome. I mean, emotions were just that high.
Cable still would have pulled his gun. But I'm just saying.
I think it worked out well because it kind of it works as like how your brain is working. Your character.
That's true. Cable was a tunnel vision probably at that moment.
Yeah. So I think it actually worked out in favor. Although I'll tell you, when all that happened, I was having to think pretty quick, and I'll tell you, the whole Imogen thing, I mean, was the very, very, very last second that I thought of that. Now I was, because I think the thing is like I was going to let you go, but
he hadn't written that material.
Yeah.
Well, I think
hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I think I wanted it to kind of use that opportunity to emphasize Imogen's power and move the story along with her. too. Because you guys found out some pretty hefty information.
Well, not all
Yeah.
of us. Just he knows that so far.
That's true. That's true.
That's
I'm locked in cryo sleep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But
I will feel like Nate's the only one on my side in this situation,
yeah,
which is appreciative for Cable. Because Cable felt like he's very alone in this situation.
I'll say, and we've talked about that before, but I mean, I've played RPGs off and on for, since I was a kid. I've never had a group of people I was this invested in. Like,
mm-hmm.
they're tackling Cable and shoving Cable in a cryopod, and I'm getting physically angry. Like,
yeah.
I'm getting agitated, and it's like, I never thought I'd be in an RPG campaign that involves, alcoholism and mental illness and cancer treatments. And I just keep going back to that like, how this can't be what you wrote, Joe. It's just got to be like, what did I do?
This is kind of Joe's fault. When we first started this, Joe's like, hey, I want to build up Cable's character list. We got to figure out some of his things. And so I developed the whole alcoholism during stress situation. I recovered, but during stressful situations, he started drinking. And it wasn't actually part of the original thought of my character. My thought of my character originally was like a loner pilot style. Now it became more of like he's a loner pilot who's slowly developing paranoia, but also is like totally getting rid of that stress through his alcoholism to the point of like where, like when he's drunk, he's not like a loner, he's more social. So it's like, it's almost like a different person when he's drunk versus when he's sober. And it's like his now separation character. And I was really torn on actually curing the alcoholism in my mind when I was like, would he actually? So like every time I do anything with Cable, it's like I actually have to like put myself in there and be like, run through the scenarios in my head. Like, what would Cable truly do? Like, if I discover the alcoholism, it solves my issue of having to deal with like stress and all that stuff. But is that like really what Cable would do? Or would Cable like underhandedly drink? And
Yeah, well, and my concern, as Cable's friend, is if you stop that, if you bottle that up, what does your stress relief become?
Well, Joe wouldn't let me get the benzos I wanted.
We shouldn't tell him about the private conversation we were having about becoming drug runners and smuggling a kilo of benzos aboard. It's I don't know. It's just fascinating, and you're, like I said, I give you a lot of credit for your character, Cable, that I just don't. You seem to be so in tune with who that character is and the mindset of that character that it's really neat to watch. Like, as a third person, like, to just, there was no hesitation on your part. I mean, Ward came at you and it was like, this is what I'm going to do. Stay the hell away from me. And it's the fact that the entire group of us was like, oh, holy crap. What do we do if he shoots him? Like, how do we handle that?
So it was, and that was honestly like that pause moment where I was literally like, okay, Cable probably wouldn't actually shoot him. Cable's like just trying to, like, Cable thought Ward would back down, so Cable like took the more extreme measure to force him to back down. And there was a part of me who was going to let him just follow me and see what happened. And there was literally like, okay, what would Cable do? And Cable was so agitated about the situation of always feeling controlled in the ship. Like, everybody's decisions made for Cable. Like, Cable's now really become very frustrated with the idea that he has no free will in his situation. Like, it's Cable's frustration comes from that. It's like he was really ready to solve his problem and work with it, and then now like that control again, and that was like, I think the snapping point for Cable was like, that's it. I want to solve the problem, but you guys don't want to work with me, and I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this whole thing. And kind of knowing that they're all stuck with Cable. I think Cable's kind of like got this thought of like he's gonna die anyway, probably in this such scenario. He's running around with a crazy situation already. So like I don't think Cable thinks, or he's afraid of dying, but at the same time he's like thinking he's going to die at some point through this whole scenario. And he doesn't know which way, and he kind of wants it a little bit on his own terms of like, I'm going to do it my way, kind of thing. So I think he's torn. But I will give Nate credit. Nate's got the underhanded. You've built your character to have that like slightly underhanded tone to it. It's like you endear to Cable because Cable's like he's willing to bend the rules for me.
Yeah.
But ironically, that's in Nate's favor because Nate wants to be on the information highway, like so he likes to get the information. So he's on both sides a little. He's playing both sides a little with a good balance level there.
And that was kind of my goal going into it is like, when Joe started talking about the company man, it's like I went back and watched like the videos of Burke, and that's kind of what, that's why I picked the avatar I did and stuff is that kind of mindset of, it's, it's the crew and I want us to succeed to the point that I want to succeed and I want to live and I want to put money in my pocket. So it's, it's tough playing that kind of double-handed. And I think Cato does see an ally in Cable because you play outside the rules. Where Ward is just kind of a straight-laced, he wants to follow the rules and wants everybody to, be healthy and happy. And he's got his own things going on, but it's, I think I'm very wary of him. And the captain, I think I come at the captain as the guy is just so deep in the weeds. He's just trying to keep his head above water.
Well, that's funny because it's like Cable's gone from like what was probably a pretty stable situation with the previous, like when the crew was there. It was very stable and but he was also always the forgotten member. That's actually how Steve came to exist. Is that he was forgotten on the bridge, and so he took one of his empty alcohol containers and he made the face on it because everybody forgot him in the bridge overnight. He was told to stay on the bridge, and he stayed on the bridge and literally got left there a whole night until they found him in the morning. So like Cable's been developed as that like he like always understood like the loner party kind of enjoyed it, but he also feels like a lot's going on around him and he's not part of it. And so like I think that also fuels a lot of his alcoholism is that like he's like, I'm the one who has to fly this thing and I'm the one who has to make sure it lands and I'm not even sure what's going on day to day and I think his alcoholism has gotten too much of a hold of him that he doesn't even know how to handle it. So it's interesting.
I think that's part of where my anger on your part came from is that's what I could see is Cable was finally trying to take some control and kind of control his own destiny. And you made that decision to walk away and whatever was going to happen. But I mean, you needed that distance. And Ward kind of inserted himself in that. And it's like, I think that was the obvious outcome and that was the point I was trying to get across to the captain is, okay, you're taking all this out on Cable, but your medical officer just assaulted your pilot on a deck full of people. Like, I don't care what the intention was. We can't overlook that. And then so to take you and to just kind of take you out of the thing, I think was the wrong play, and I think it was frustrating to come back and kind of as a player find that out. I'm really curious to see where that goes. Like I said, if you don't have, I mean, for the first few months we played, the first time Cable left the ship was when we fought the dogs in the field. Otherwise, anytime we went out to the boarding party or whatever, you stayed on the bridge. And so I was like, I guess that's that's his deal. He just stays up there and writes in his book and talks to his Bible, and so it's interesting when you come to these points where Cable just explodes. And I think that's where we see the real insides of, the meaty insides of Cable.
Well, it's ironic you say that because it's funny. At one point, I think I messaged Joe and said that like Cable's starting to be like very reclusive to the ship and not want to leave until he made Imogen go invincible, and now his Cable hates the ship. And he wants to be off the ship at all times, and he doesn't want to be anywhere near it. And actually, the reason he was starting to get stuck on the ship was because the last time he stayed at a hotel, he had like a weird spider outside his door. So it's like,
you just kept getting like, I mean, you're seeing ghosts, there's spiders, and like you kept on.
It's all based a first conversation with a Marine who told him about ghosts and dragon. Right. It's literally like Joe has thrown it all, I think, a Cable in some ways. Mm-hmm. That Cable's I have to like at some point say, okay, Joe, you have to read that whole paranoid section at some point soon and give it to Cable, because there's only so much Cable's gonna be able to stand. I was actually really curious of like what would happen to Cable if he wasn't able to access alcohol and he gets stressed. And so that's probably gonna happen very soon. We'll be seeing what that reaction.
What's that pressure relief? Where's that pressure valve that?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see.
If you don't have that, does he snap? And now we're in more trouble potentially than we were just letting you drink and fly the ship. Like,
yeah, that's very possible. Yeah, especially because now he's depending on whatever Cable route. Wherever he's going to go next, I don't know what your plans are, Croker, but
he hasn't woken up yet.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where you take Cable from here. But I'll say, if he doesn't take his pills or he doesn't drink, his stress is going to keep going up, and eventually it'll hit, and he'll start panicking.
I was actually thinking of like, what happened if the captain kicked you off the ship and I have to re-roll characters? I was like, man, is he gonna be a re-roll character now because he like kicks Cable off the ship now? I was literally like, oh man, I gotta create a whole new one, a whole new persona. But that was kind of cool. And by that I was like, cool, maybe Cable like stalks them in the background and like hunts them down as like an enemy NPC someday.
That'd be an interesting play. Is like, what happens if you have a mutiny? Like, I don't,
Well, that's up to the player, really. I mean,
yeah,
it's either that's your cue to exit, or we can re-roll a new one.
Well, that was my curiosity of like, I was like, man, if he kicks me off, do I get to become like an enemy character of the ship?
Run a parallel campaign of your own.
Yeah.
So that goes back to that. I mean, so Joe, do you going into the next session then?
Well, yeah, this is gonna be a bad one.
Do you try to plan and write off of where we took it last week and hope we stay in our lane, or do you just give up at this point and you just let it put the chips on the table and let it ride?
Truth be told, I mean, most of my writing is it's built around framework. I don't create paths, I guess you could say. I have a general idea where I want things to go, but most of my stuff is just built on frameworks. So, this is where we're at. So when we're in a place like this and I give you guys 7 days, I don't have much written out for it, but I might throw something in here or there that just pops in my head, or something like this happens. So either way, it doesn't really. None of this really throws me off too much, except for that I have to come up with stuff on the fly. That can be a little challenging, but so far I feel like it's all fit in.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. It's gonna be next week's gonna be. Not next week. Week after will be a very interesting. To say the least, a very interesting. I just don't even know where I haven't even really comprehended exactly where I want to take it and how it will go. I think it's got a lot to depend on everything. And technically, Nate, your alcohol was also confiscated.
Yeah. So
we don't
it's
have access to alcohol.
yeah, and it. I mean, I think legitimately, I think it opens up some interesting avenues for, you know, I don't want to give Joe too much advance notice, but for smuggling and for the illicit trades, which sounds weird coming from the way you rep, but it's that kind of chaotic neutral where it's like I have a code, but it's my code, and it's I'm gonna follow it, but it's what I make it out to be and what benefits me and those who, um, I think when it comes to cable, it's been really interesting because I think I was a little jealous when I come on board and Cable and Ward have this established relationship, and so to kind of see that implode, I'm not going to say Cato's not getting, I'll be honest, he's getting some joy out of watching it. Watching them go at each other, frustrated because of the appearance of it, but not necessarily frustrated because they're butting heads.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's funny because I think Ward tries to help Cable out, and like Cable doesn't see it as help. So it's like Ward's intentions are good. It probably is like, oh man, I'm gonna help help him out. We've been through so much, and Cable's kind of like, I don't want your help. Stay away now at this point, and it's. I think I'm sure for like Ward, like him having to tackle Cable, I'm sure I was so contemplating shooting him. I was so contemplating shooting him. Honestly, my range combat's too good. I was actually worried I might kill him. So it's actually like my range combat's actually very good. I was like, oh man, if I shoot at him, I'm probably gonna hit him. I'm not sure how much health he has. This weapon does a lot of damage.
Nobody's got much health.
Well, yeah. I only had 3, so I was like, okay, well, I was like, if I shoot him, man, it just think does like a +2, and I get stunts and all this stuff. I was like, oh, this could go really south really quick. I was like, Cable wouldn't want to hurt Ward. He just wants him to leave him alone. So let's be realistic.
That's the thing, though. I'll tell you.
What if I had not put my gun away when I had those Marines come at me? That was the other question, man. What if I shot the Marines?
That's the interesting one. How far would you have gotten? Yeah, before you.
Joe probably would have had to kill me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I hesitate to do it, but I would. I really would if I had to.
I figured you would.
Yeah. And if I couldn't figure out a way to steer around it, that didn't seem to. That didn't work. So, and if you guys wanted to kill each other, hey, this is part of it. So we'll
you had to let the captain know, though. I noticed you had to let that captain know. We had it all covered up, and he was like,
"Yeah, yeah." I had to have Marines come checking on you.
Well, so it's just funny. It's like I could see Dan's face of like pure like frustration, not knowing. So I think Joe threw him a bone. Dan's face was like, I want to solve this. I need to solve this.
Yeah, when he asked like 3 or 4 times, am I aware of what's going on? Nope, they're outside. Don't. Yeah.
He was like so light and just get involved in that. And I was like, oh, this is so good. So good.
Well, and I think that's a lot of what causes the investment and keeps us so plugged in is because, Joe, you leave us. There's no hand holding.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm stuck on the other side in a med pod, and that was my biggest frustration was like, okay, how do I connect to what's going on? Like, how do I explain that I'm aware and I'm angry, and this, I can see the same thing from the captain's side where he was like, okay, how do I get in the middle of this that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, like my experiences with Dungeons and Dragons in particular, there's a lot of GMs that'll kind of spoon feed that to you.
Yes.
And you just kind of let it roll. And
that was brilliant.
It's like, what? I would not want to sit in your seat.
Well, it's funny because Joe's World's a little bit of it's got the slight box feel to it sometimes, where we're hitting the box wall as hard as we can to see if we can push out of it, and just see how far Joe will let us push out of it. And it's like the best example is before you got there, Nate, was the day we found Imogen, and we found all the stuff about Imogen, and we spent an entire session trying to figure out how to deal with it, and Joe was trying to had that wall flex a little, but he was never gonna let us blow up Imogen.
Yeah,
we had times, and you're gonna get to be there for this, but there was a point where we were turning one of our storage units into a makeshift med lab, where we were gonna just put Ward into a spacesuit, strap him to the side, put her there, and then just worst case, blow the storage unit out and allow her to fly away and him to be strapped to the side wall.
There were entire sessions dedicated to just figuring out how to get rid of Imogen.
I wanted to blow her up in the engines. He still didn't.
Well, yeah, even after, once it came out, and we had everything, and Kato was on board. That was that was the impact when we were all locked in the captain's room, and like I said, he was advocating for, just throw her out and burn her up in the engines.
Yeah, my plan was to shoot her at the thing, turn the ship, and blow her up with the back of the engine.
Yeah, and Joe just slammed that box shut. It was like, that's it. I've had enough of your nonsense. I'm not going to spend 3 more weeks dealing with what do we do about Imogen? That's it. Go.
And we tried. Trust me, I tried everything to let me destroy her.
Yeah.
And the only thing that let us not even start trying that stuff was, I think Ward actually had some line to keep her around, or else there was something was going to be attempted at some point. If Ward had anywhere near the sense of mind of mine, was blow her out the airlocks. I don't care.
Yeah, he wanted to try to save her at the same time.
Yeah, he wanted to try to save her. Actually, was his goal.
But I got to give credit to him for that too, because he's playing his character.
Who he is. This is the whole lost daughter.
Yeah, very much so. And I think there's a certain part of Kato that likes kind of poking at that and finding the wall there, and there's a crack. Let me see if I can wiggle my finger in that crack, and giving alcohol on the side to Cable, and telling Ward he's not a real doctor, and things that kind of picking at it to see, okay, where's the soft spot in your egg? It's and I think it's to kind of see, to get a lay of the land, but to see what kind of chaos I can sow.
The word Cable mutant.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah, it's not
the word Cable. Kato.
I'm going to Cable. I'm going to go with the guy that can fly me in a ship and land me home. Not the guy who can, give me an antibiotic shot.
Right.
And so it's kind of interesting. It's.
Yeah, I'm curious how much they tell Cable about Imogen and the fact that she's threatened me. That's what I'll be curious about. How much they'll tell him. They'll really probably determine Cable's moves and how much more he'll be actually So it'll be the level of paranoia versus the level of anger. So if it's well, we had to lock you away and deal with you, and you have to straighten out, it's gonna be the anger. But if it's Imogen's just gonna blow you out the airlock, it's the paranoia side. It's probably gonna be it's going to be that flexing that direction of what it is that gets Cable to even be more freaked out. Or be more angry at everybody.
I mean, with him already being very wary of Imogen, to have you wake up and find out that she's short-circuited, to keep control, and that's not going to help your stability.
No,
And that was
and in fact, the Cable can't get alcohol. Cable's gonna have to go get alcohol for Cable.
yeah. I mean, and that's it. Is
Cable's gonna be the one accessing the alcohol for Cable now.
yeah. It so you've got one side taking it away and the other side giving it to him, and eventually that's going to meet in the middle, and I'm here for it.
Well, I was really curious what was gonna happen when I tried going to a separate fractions bars, because like I was only blocked from the one side, so I was really curious like what would happen if they tried to stop me from going to like another faction or something. Yeah, I was really curious. That's what I was really planning on doing. I was like, obviously trying not to metagame, but my logic of saying like, what would Cable do once he gets barred from all the bars? On that side.
Yeah, with a loaded handgun, like.
I was actually waiting to see if he would challenge me the fact that the Cable's been walking around with this loaded handgun all the time.
Yeah, that's all I could think. Is I'm like, guys, you're all this is going on, and that guy like is having a mental break with a loaded handgun. Like, why are we not more concerned about that? But yeah, it's. I think the next few episodes are going to be.
I'll see how far we actually get. That's Joe's going to have a great homies more seasons just to get. This will be the season of drama. It's the soap opera season.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of it. The next one's going to be tough. I know. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to get to a zone. I'm going to have to prep myself that day or something. I don't know.
All of this and all of this drama, and we've yet to see an actual xenomorph. Like, this is all just space opera drama we're dealing with.
That was the other question: will Cable try to get the xenomorph to he doesn't really know what it is, so will Cable's want to be done with it all?
And my approach to this campaign was to just have the kind of have the xenomorph in the background. Even though you guys don't really know much about them at all, really. For a couple of egg pods you saw, but you don't even know what those are. But I wanted to kind of focus more on the lore of Alien, so that's why I've been kind of especially lately, I've been expanding to different factions and stuff like that, different companies that. It's because it's not just Wayu out there, Seegson is one of the biggest competitors of Wayu. And
so, real quick question. This may be an interesting question. So, on Aeon Station, was that a Predator that was on Aeon Station? Is the Predator what killed and Titanic
on Aeon Station?
Yeah. So remember the invisible thing that then the laser pointer shot through the head?
Right. Gosh, see, it's been so long now. I can't even remember.
See, you said it was an invisible thing moving around, so you could barely see it, and it was just the quick laser thing, and both were dead instantly.
Oh, right. My answer to that is I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, come on.
That's kind of what I thought.
It doesn't really impact the future story. Obviously, anyone who's watching this knows Alien and knows the connection. So
you have an invisible android on ship.
Yeah, but it was just too quick. It almost seemed very Predator-like.
That's an interesting.
Well, logically speaking, if they hunt them, and these people have collected them, would they have stopped at the place to try to stop them? Because logically speaking, we went around that whole ship. We launched off the other guy off the ship pretty much. He was stuck in a room. So logically speaking, the only thing left was either an alien, an android we hadn't seen that was invisible, or a Predator on board.
Are you talking about Devin? The android?
Devin was trapped. Yeah,
that was working on the escape pod.
Yeah, Devin was trapped.
Yeah.
Now, have you left that all? So I guess that's the question. Have you left it all behind, or have you? Is that something that's going to come up in the future? But yeah, I was just curious if you did you actually, because I know that was obviously the decision of them to leave, but did you figure out who that is that actually killed her, or was that just like a one-off for you to just get rid of and move on?
I'll put it to you this
That's
way.
that new question. That's my new question. Let's say it that way. Was that a planned event? Let's just say that all of us were going to continue on after Aeon Station.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Was that character going to be something we saw at the end anyway?
Yes.
So that was already planned, the invisible thing inside the Aeon Station.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the whole Aeon Station was planned. I had that all written now.
Well, I figured that. I figured it had Aeon. I didn't think Aeon Station was just the way to kill off the characters. But I was wondering if Aeon Station, that whoever killed Titanic and Anne's character, was that planned out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say that much. That's the thing. It's like when I started this writing this campaign, I've got a whole. There is stuff that have happened in the first episode that has not been resolved yet, and I know when it will be. I have a whole long game. Everything that happens, like, you guys should probably be making real mental notes about this, because there's a possibility it's gonna be coming back around. I
have a whole journal of it all,
which is awesome, by the way. I read it like a week ago, and I love it.
I haven't added that much. I gotta add more now that everything has happened.
I'm telling you, there's a book in there.
So normally Cable's not that involved, so that's why I've been typing in a journal. But because Cable's been so invested in so many episodes now, that I haven't had time to actually update my journal as much as I wanted to. So I actually have to update it and pretend that he had more logs in there for when there is actual true downtime. But a few just pure drunken slur things.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I gotta add one more thing about that, because, and I've said this before, so I'm not really spoiling anything. It's just there have been clues for things for your faces for episodes. You guys still have not put it together. Just something to chew on there for you.
Oh, well, that'll keep me up at night.
Well, I feel like, I won't lie, my big thing is I think Waylon knows we have her and is letting us go along with her personally. Like, I think we're all stooges to this, and the whole plan was that we would be the one transporting Imogen everywhere.
That's what I love about
I
this.
feel like,
and it's crazy as you guys still have no idea what's going on, and I love it.
Well, we've gotten so
in the grand
caught up
scheme,
in Imogen being in charge and scary Imogen, that I think we've lost sight of the fact that Imogen's an incubator. Like,
right.
She's not technically an incubator. She is a storage unit.
There's
ready to go. I'm pretty sure. Like, I think if pop out tomorrow, I'll be ready to go.
Bigger problem, like, and that's interesting. Going back to what you said, Joe, is that so you have a long game. I mean, is this like are you our George R.R. Martin? I mean, do you know?
That's what I feel like. I think he's like the book.
Do you know how this ends?
Ending and middle.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have a beginning, middle, and end? And so
I do.
How much of a difference do we make in the ending? I guess.
Nothing enough to throw it completely off now.
But if we had burned Imogen up in the engines, would that have thrown your entire plan off?
Nope. No, trust me. I've got ways to make it still work. Yeah, and I have to credit that to just really the reason why I wanted to do Alien instead of like something like Dungeons and Dragons, because I know so much more about the Alien lore, so I know how to make it work to keep this story going.
Well, see, I think Dungeons and Dragons has its own. Dungeons and Dragons has its own.
No, it does, but I don't. But I don't know it enough.
Have you guys seen the Lord of the Rings 5e? Is coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings 5e is coming out. I think
you
in
could go down a
January.
rabbit hole with that and like never come out again. Like,
Yeah,
all
that's
right, we're gonna do a campaign of 5,000 years before the ring with the elves and the
I want a Wheel of Time one. Man, a Wheel of Time would be mine. That would
I
be.
think a Mistborn would be neat with the
Mistborn will be
that magic.
Mistborn. Mistborn's in adaptation right now, actually, ironically.
Yeah,
So
I think
it
that
will
magic
become.
system would be neat in an RPG.
So Mistborn by this time next year, they think they'll be in production, like on set. So I'm really curious about how they will translate Mistborn. How much longer do you have left, Joe? Sorry, I know this is very off time for our whole YouTube here.
Yeah,
how much more do you got left, Joe?
About half of the last book left.
Yeah,
350 pages.
That book all comes to a head in the last like 50 pages. It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
Like it's literally those laugh. Like it's why you could read almost all the way to the end, and I won't be able to discuss anything with you till you finish the last 50 pages.
I'm a slow reader. It takes me a while.
Well, and I'm on the I just read the final of the Wax and Wayne series until the next one comes out in November, I believe it is, and that's the end of that series too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm reading right now. Amazing. I know, off topic and terribly. Dungeon Crawler Carl. Have anyone ever read Dungeon Crawler Carl? Most amazing book I've read in a long, long time. That's not like from a well-known author. Is the whole world is taken over by aliens, and they make the world into a dungeon crawler for all the last like people alive, and they like level up stats and all these things, and they become like almost like you're in a video game. So like you pull up menu bars to your own head and your own brain, and you have like chat function, and it's these aliens making it into a video game, which they are broadcasting to all their other planets. And it's pretty much like a live action, like a LARP, where people actually die, for these people to watch as entertainment value. It is amazing. It's him and his cat Donut. It's amazing.
Send us a link.
I will. I have it on audiobook, and I think I'd highly recommend you do it on audiobook because the voicing is so important in it. I think in a way, like I started reading it on book, and I never really got into it, and then I started doing it on audio, and the way the voice is, because like the computer sounds computer-like, and so it makes it fit into it really well.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's audio. Do it audio. But sorry, let's go back to Alien RPG.
Yeah, but just to wrap that little bit up. Again, like So, I think just knowing so much about Alien really is able to. I should be able to get you where I want you to at some. And the thing is like I don't know how long I want it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. I mean, to your original point was, I find it really neat, and I think it really helps us with the story that we're not chasing Ripley. We're in a parallel lane over here somewhere. Like, that's always the Star Wars conundrum, right? Like, why can't they tell stories outside of the Skywalkers? Like, it's this huge galaxy.
Yeah, right.
Give me a glimpse of somebody, but like, you don't have to put Luke Skywalker in everything.
Yeah.
Same thing with the aliens. Like, there's going to be buzz around the universe, this stuff, and cholera on the prison colony and all this, but it doesn't have to be the main drive of our.
There is a side story off of Star Wars. Does anyone know what movie it is? There's only one movie that is technically, in theory, connected to the Star Wars universe. This is some fan fiction here. Not fan fiction. And it's not fan theory. It's locked in, and if there's only one scene that connects it to another movie, and it's not long after Star Wars. Not that long after Star Wars is actually finished, but probably when we were kids, we watched it as kids. Does anyone know?
The Dark Crystal or something?
Nope.
It's got to be E.T.
Thank you, sir. E.T.
Yeah, it's got to be E.T.
E.T. are aliens in the Star Wars universe. They're in the Senate.
Yep, because they're in the Senate. Yep, they have a Senate pod in episode
to
2.
Include the aliens from E.T. are actually part of the same universe as Star Wars, and they're in episode 1 or 2, wherever it is. And you actually see 3 of those little ETs
Yeah.
standing behind on one of their little pods floating in the Senate.
Which then that starts to make me think, where does the ET movie fall in that, in that timeline? Man, that's a whole nother rabbit
Or
hole.
convinced George Lucas to include the ETs in the Senate because he wanted his aliens in the same universe. Tell me that's not amazing that they did that.
Yeah.
Joe's looking it up now. He's like,
Yep.
ET into Star Wars, and it is officially.
Yeah, it's when they do the big vote in the in the Senate. Yep,
it is.
Yeah, because the gun guns are there and the ETs. Yeah.
Yep. So real quick, I forgot how far off the Alien movie are we, like timeline wise?
Oh, so right now it's been what, like 2 years that you guys have been on this trip. So, even though you guys would probably know, Ripley's died.
Okay.
So about 2 years ago. So we started right around the time that she came out of hypersleep. So Aliens 2, basically, or Aliens. Yeah. Going into Alien 3. So she's long gone now. Now, I don't know if did you guys hear the clip that Carson got? The audio clip?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. I'm pretty sure he told you guys about it. But he got a clip that had, he told you all about it. It was Ripley. So I did include a little clip in there.
Okay.
I don't think I've actually. Yeah, I don't think I was involved in that.
No.
I vaguely remember him mentioning getting an audio clip, but I don't remember us getting into the.
Yeah, if he did it in more of a just told us about. I've said never listened to it.
Yeah, I can't remember now why it was there, but yeah. Anyway, you could probably ask him about it. He still got it. He wanted to hear it.
She was in cryo in space 70 some odd years.
Yeah, it was like 70, 80 years.
And that was before the prison planet, right?
Yeah. So Alien happened. She went to sleep.
Yep.
70, 80 years later, she wakes up. Aliens happens. Right. She gets ejected, falls on the prison planet, and then that's where she died.
Okay. And so we're now 2 years beyond that point.
That. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's some like, I can't remember how many years later it is. I ignore Alien Resurrection, but at some point she does get cloned many times. I hate that. But anyway, that's where we're.
And I'm actually wrong. There was actually one other movie where Star Wars lore actually falls into. Ironically, around the same concept. Indiana Jones.
That would be my that was going to be my first guess before.
See, I know that one. I just had to look it up. I was very like the connection.
How does that? We're going down.
C-3PO and R2-D2 end up on a cave drawing in Egypt.
Yep. I recall that scene.
I mean, in theory, it makes sense because remember, this all occurs in a galaxy far, far, far away, and it's our same universe by theory.
Yeah. Far, far away, long time ago. Yeah.
So that would probably be logical then to say that Star Wars is long before us, because R2-D2 would be on like an Egyptian pyramid. They're not that old, and yeah. Sorry.
That's a whole other world.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just slipped into it.
Yeah. Well, and that
hey, you didn't make a plan for this. This is your own fault.
Yeah, there's just not enough time in the world for all the
control things, Joe. You sure already know what happens when you put too many controls in place. So
that's right. Yeah,
I would love to try the.
Joe's like, there'll be an agenda for next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't let these two idiots just roam free. This is what happened. I talking about RPGs off topic. The Star Wars one's interesting, but I just
Yeah,
don't know.
so I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as actually most people are.
It never grabbed me, but I would love to try the G.I. Joe one. I think that could have some really similar vibes to this, where it just
that would probably lose me a little too much. I'm not a big modern. I'm not a modern warfare kind of guy. Same thing. Why I didn't read Wax and Wayne for so long is because I didn't even like the Wild Wild West concept. So I actually couldn't slip myself into it until I just started re-listening to it. And I also
see, for me, it's not even the warfare. It's like, I mean, that was my childhood. Was like,
and I watched it, but I didn't watch it as much as like Thundercats or other things that were like that was my favorite. Probably was a kid, but I would get into Lord of the Rings probably more likely than anything else. But Wheel of Time, man, I would love a Wheel of Time one, or a Wheel of Time would offer a ton for like character development because there's actually like any male caster would automatically be insane naturally, which would be really awesome.
See, I want to do Discworld. I think there should be a huge.
I haven't read Discworld. I started Discworld. I own all of Discworld. I just never read them.
Yeah,
I buy books like they're water though.
I'm right there with you.
I've heard great things about it. I have so many books that are like in my lineup now. Dungeon Crawler. I've had Dungeon Crawler Carl for a while now, like a year, and I just started because I just finished another series. So,
but we're on trivia. Trivial facts. Pratchett actually had in his will, his best friend took all of his hard drives, all of his USB drives, everything, and crushed them.
That doesn't shock me. That
literally crushed him with a roller because he saw what happened to Michael Crichton in particular. Michael Crichton's been dead, I don't know, 20 years, and they're still publishing unfinished books he did.
Tolkien, they did a Silmarillion, which was terrible.
Yeah. But as part of that,
some kid did it.
They clawed back all of his licenses as well. So like there's a Discworld board game, Ankh-Morpork, that's it's actually quite good. It's quite amusing, but they won't reprint it again because it was part of that licensing that was clawed back when he died.
Jordan, when he died before Wheel of Time, it was when he found he had that like blood disease. He said that if he died, he was going to have everything destroyed at his death, and they wouldn't finish the series. And so I actually stopped reading. I was looking at like 10 or something. I was like, I'm done. Screw this.
They showed him,
and then he died, and so then I was like, and I heard Brandon Sanders was finishing, so I was like, okay, cool, I'll finish the series. So I and then I've read like 2 or 3 times since, but Brandon Sanders actually made it better in some ways. He like finished it up. He was able to do what Robert Jordan couldn't do. He finished it.
Maybe they'll give him George R. R. Martin's work when he's done and be like, here, Brandon, finish this.
Yeah, Sanderson's great. Brandon Sanderson should be the guy who like goes and finishes all the other people's because he like is good, true to form, but he knows we just gotta finish it.
Yep, just get to the end.
You have to finish the series. And that man, I don't know how many hours Brandon Sanderson writes, but he writes books like they're insane and fast. And they're good. Like I can't even be like, oh, okay, well, you can see where he rushes. It's like I can't find it today in the series.
Yeah, which is interesting because on the other side of that, you have somebody like Stephen King that puts out 3 books a year, and 1 out of every 6 of them is on par. The rest of them are just kind of all over the place. Like
I think Sanderson's kind of like you though, Joe. In some ways, he's road mapped it, so like he knows the ending for all his series before he even starts to write them. Like I have to imagine when he started Steelheart here, he knew the ending of that series, or when he started Mistborn, he knew the ending of that. So I think that it's just being able to add enough filler to make it work, but also not clog it. Which is, I think, where Robert Jordan, I don't think ever wrote an ending.
Yeah,
they said he had an ending when he got it, but I think he started without having an ending, and I think that makes it so much harder for us writer because it's like. Book 1 could technically, if you read book 1 almost by design, be like, oh, that's one whole story. Like, does this, and this, done. But then, because he must be like, oh, I'm going to keep going with it, and that's where it almost loses something. That's where Jordan got slogged, That's what made it not the greatest series on Earth, because it just got slogged down. 5 more minutes. We should probably talk about aliens some more.
I was gonna say, we got about 2 more minutes left, and then we have to wrap it up here. So,
well, Joe, your work's cut out for you. That's all I'm gonna tell you. So Joe now really with him, it just has to be kind of like the guideliner a little bit. Now he's kind of stuck himself into that. So he's
I have no idea how this is gonna play out, but regardless, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I know one way or another.
I have enough separation with Cable that I can like enjoy Cable's story from the outside.
Yeah. But that last one was just so heated that I don't know.
We're locked him in cryo. We'll see how he responds.
It's always that last 20 minutes or something that we just completely blow the lid out of it and just.
I think that whole episode. Well, that's true. The whole beginning of the episode actually started really good. It was really solid. I was actually shocked that Dan said I could have a whole bottle of alcohol, and Ward being the one that actually took it was actually very shocking to me.
Yeah.
Dan was the biggest issue with his alcoholism, and Matt. I keep saying that. I slipped her name, but Matt was actually I was radically one who was almost okay with his alcoholism to some degree, and they flip flopped right at that moment, and I think that's also what made Cable snap a little bit.
Sure, because now the knowns are unknowns, and
it's like, Ward always understood my alcoholism. He's gonna let me have this last night, and wow, even the captain's on board with it, and then he just snapped.
There's a lot to unpack from that, because I mean, anybody whoever decides to listen to it, I mean, it's just I feel like there's like a lot of revelations and a lot of there's just a lot of there's just so much to unpack there.
I think there's a thunderstorm coming, and I think
Captain being a former alcoholic and all aspects of that, and Ward obviously has his own demons that he's dealt with.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It will be.
All right, I think this is where we're going to wrap it up for tonight. So, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Fun as always.
We'll see everybody, I guess, again in a few weeks.
Sounds good.
So, good night.
Night all.